Welcome back to our channel. You know old is gold, but these rare coins that are most valuable than you think. Don't spend these coins if you have these coins. Please watch complete video. Let's start this. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a coin most people toss into a jar without a second thought, could be worth nearly $900,000 today? Not a gold coin. Not a rare ancient relic. A simple 1-cent piece from 1964. Specifically, the legendary 1964 Lincoln cent. Before you shrug this off, consider this. Somewhere in America right now, someone is unknowingly holding a small copper coin that could change their financial future overnight. And the question is, could that someone be you? Let's step back into 1964. The country was in transition. Silver coins were about to disappear from circulation. The U.S. Mint was operating at full speed to meet demand. And at the Denver Mint, marked by a small but powerful D, millions of Lincoln cents were struck. The Lincoln cent had already become one of the most recognizable coins in American history, honoring President Abraham Lincoln. But hidden among the ordinary 1964 pennies were extraordinary mint errors, coins that were never supposed to leave the press the way they did. Now here's where it gets exciting. In rare instances, striking errors occurred. Dramatic double dies. Off-center strikes. Die breaks so bold they created raised, almost sculptural features. And in the most extreme cases, transitional errors involving incorrect planchets. These weren't minor imperfections. These were mint mistakes so rare that collectors compete fiercely for the opportunity to own one. When authenticated and preserved in high grades, certain 1964 era pennies have reached valuations approaching $896,000 in today's elite collector market. Take a moment and think about that. $896,000 for 1 cent. That's not pocket change. That's mortgage-free living. That's retirement security. That's legacy money. But here's the twist. Most people never look closely at their coins. They assume old equals valuable, and if it doesn't shine like gold, they ignore it. Meanwhile, serious collectors understand a powerful truth: rarity plus demand equals explosive value. And the demand for high-grade, authenticated mint-era coins from the 1960s is intense. The 1964 Lincoln cent sits at the crossroads of history, mintage volume, and error intrigue. It represents the final full year before major composition changes in U.S. coinage. That historical tension alone fuels demand. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually examined a penny under magnification? Not glanced at it. Studied it. Looked for doubling in the lettering. Checked the date and mint mark alignment. Inspected the surfaces for unusual raised lines or striking anomalies. If you haven't, you might be overlooking a life-changing asset. Here's where urgency comes in. The market for rare era coins is not static. As more collectors enter retirement age with disposable income, competition intensifies. High net worth buyers are aggressively pursuing trophy coins, pieces that stand out in registry sets and auction catalogs. Every time one of these rare 1964 era pennies surfaces at auction and sets a record, it reinforces demand and tightens supply. And supply, as you know, can never increase. The U.S. Mint isn't making 1964 era pennies anymore. What exists is all that will ever exist. Now let's inject a little humor. Imagine explaining to your neighbor that you're retiring early because of a penny. They'd probably laugh, right up until they see the auction receipt. But this isn't fantasy. It's strategy. The key lies in authentication and condition. A dramatic mint error in uncirculated or near-perfect condition can command astronomical premiums compared to the same error in worn condition. Professional grading by top-tier services transforms a coin from a curiosity into a verified asset. And in the high-stakes world of rare coins, verification is everything. Here's another emotional trigger most people ignore: regret. Picture discovering years from now that you once had a rare 1964 era penny but spent it on coffee. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. The fear of missing out is real. But so is the thrill of discovery. Let's connect the dots. The 1964 Lincoln cent sits at a unique historical moment. It carries the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. It was minted during a pivotal year in American coinage. It was produced in massive numbers, which ironically increases the odds that errors slip through quality control. And today, as elite collectors chase standout examples, the market rewards the rarest and finest survivors with extraordinary prices. And here's what makes this even more powerful for you. Many valuable coins are already in private hands, tucked away in jars, drawers, estate collections, and inherited boxes. They are not all locked inside museum vaults. They are in American homes. Possibly yours. So what should you do right now? Start with awareness. Pull out your old pennies. Focus on the 1964 date with the small D mint mark. Use magnification. Look for bold doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. Examine the surfaces for dramatic die breaks or unusual strike characteristics. If something looks distinct, do not clean it. Cleaning destroys value. Preserve it exactly as found and seek professional evaluation. Because here's the truth: wealth often hides in plain sight. The people who build extraordinary lifestyles are not always the ones chasing trends. They're the ones who recognize opportunity before others do. A rare 1964 D-era penny valued near $896,000 isn't just a coin. It's proof that overlooked assets can become life-altering investments. And imagine the moment. The appraisal call. The confirmation. The realization that something you held in your hand every day is now a six-figure, or even near seven-figure, asset. That's not just financial gain. That's empowerment. The window of opportunity is open, but not forever. As awareness spreads and more coins are identified, competition sharpens. The collectors who act decisively position themselves ahead of the curve. The question is simple: will you be the person who checked, or the person who wished they had? Because sometimes, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just 1 cent. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the kind you might ignore at the bottom of a drawer, could be worth $905,000 today? Not a rare gold coin. Not a pirate treasure. A simple Lincoln cent. And not just any year, but the 1969 D Lincoln penny. Before you dismiss that as wishful thinking, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your old coins closely? This is the story of the 1969 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin struck at the legendary United States Mint and part of the iconic Lincoln cent series. It may look ordinary at first glance. Abraham Lincoln on the front. Memorial on the back. Copper glow. But in the world of rare coin collecting, appearances can be deceiving, and sometimes, life-changing. America was in a turbulent era: moon landings, cultural revolutions, and economic shifts. That year, millions of pennies were struck in Denver, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date. Most of them are worth exactly 1 cent today. But a small number, an extraordinarily rare number, were struck with a dramatic mint error that transformed a common coin into a six-figure treasure. Now here's where things get exciting. Certain 1969 D Lincoln cents are known for powerful error characteristics, including rare die varieties that have commanded astonishing prices and high grades. In elite auction circles, exceptional examples, especially those with rare characteristics and pristine preservation, have reached values approaching $905,000 in today's high-demand rare coin market. Pause for a moment. Imagine discovering that in a coin jar on your kitchen shelf. Act 2 is where tension rises. Because here's the truth most people don't realize: valuable coins don't announce themselves. They don't glow. They don't whisper, "I'm worth nearly $1 million." They hide in plain sight. And sometimes, they are accidentally spent, rolled, or forgotten because no one took the time to inspect them carefully. And let me be honest with you, this is where fear and opportunity collide. How many old pennies have passed through your hands over the decades? How many were tossed into a box, a drawer, or a piggy bank? The 1969 D penny with rare die characteristics is highly sought after today because collectors are competing fiercely for top-tier specimens. Demand is strong. Supply is microscopic. And when supply is microscopic in a market of serious investors, prices don't just rise, they explode. But here's a pattern interrupt for you. If you're still using pennies as paperweights, we need to have a talk. The rare 1969 era examples stand out under magnification. Serious collectors examine sharp details, die alignment, surface preservation, and certification from respected grading services. The highest values are achieved when a coin is authenticated and graded in elite condition. That's where the magic happens. That's where a 1-cent coin transforms into a headline-worthy asset. And here's what makes this even more powerful. The audience watching this right now, Americans between 30 and 65, are statistically the most likely to inherit, collect, or rediscover old coins from parents and grandparents. These coins aren't myths. They're already inside homes across the country. Think about that. Your parents lived through the 1960s. Your grandparents handled these coins daily. Some of those very pennies are still sitting untouched in old coffee cans or safety deposit boxes. The only difference between a forgotten penny and a $905,000 asset is knowledge. Let me ask you another question. What would an extra $900,000 do for your lifestyle? Pay off your home? Eliminate debt? Fund your retirement? Create generational wealth? The rare coin market today is stronger than ever. High net worth collectors are actively seeking key date and rare variety Lincoln cents. Auction houses report intense bidding activity when elite examples surface. Coins are no longer just collectibles, they are alternative assets. Tangible wealth. Portable stores of value. And here's the crucial connection. The 1969 Lincoln penny sits at the intersection of history, rarity, and demand. That combination is what drives record prices. When collectors compete for something they can't easily replace, valuations climb rapidly. The market rewards rarity and condition aggressively. But here's the reality no one likes to say out loud. Every year, fewer undiscovered examples remain in circulation. The longer you wait to examine what you already own, the greater the chance that opportunity passes quietly. This isn't about hype. It's about awareness. If you own old penny collections, inherited coin jars, estate boxes, or vintage bank rolls, now is the time to inspect them carefully. Use magnification. Study the date and mint mark. Compare details. And when you believe you've found something promising, consult a professional coin grading service for authentication. That single step can convert uncertainty into verified value. And let's be clear, wealth isn't always built by chasing something new. Sometimes it's built by recognizing the hidden value in what you already have. The 1969 Lincoln penny represents possibility. It represents the idea that even in the smallest things, extraordinary value can exist. And in today's competitive collector market, extraordinary value is being rewarded at extraordinary levels. So tonight, instead of scrolling endlessly or watching another rerun, open that drawer. Pull out that old jar. Look at those pennies like an investor, not a passerby. Because somewhere in America, someone is going to discover a rare coin that changes their financial trajectory. The only question is, will it be you? What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a coin most people ignore, drop in jars, or leave in cup holders, could be worth $933,000? Not a stock. Not real estate. Not crypto. A penny. And not just any penny, but the 1970 Lincoln cent with a rare error that has electrified collectors across the country. Before you dismiss that as hype, consider this: somewhere in America, someone unknowingly spent one of these on a cup of coffee. The question is, was it you? This is the story of the 1970 Lincoln penny, struck at the historic United States Mint facility in Denver, and why certain rare error variations have become legends in the numismatic world. The coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that has circulated in American pockets for generations. But in 1970, something extraordinary happened, an error so subtle that millions missed it, yet so powerful that today it can command nearly $1 million in elite collector markets. Act 1 begins in 1970. America was in transition. The economy was shifting, inflation pressures were building, and millions of pennies were being struck to meet demand. At the Denver Mint, dies were prepared to strike Lincoln cents with the small, D mint mark. But in rare cases, a dramatic double die error occurred, most notably on the obverse. This wasn't damage. It wasn't wear. It was born in the die itself. The doubling is visible in the word liberty, in God we trust, and in the date. Under magnification, the letters appear boldly doubled, almost vibrating with intensity. This is not a minor flaw. This is a minting anomaly that transforms a 1-cent coin into a six-figure asset. Now pause for a second. How many pennies have passed through your hands in the last decade? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you actually inspect? Exactly. That's the emotional pivot. Fear of missing out is real. The thought that life-changing wealth could have slipped through your fingers is uncomfortable, but empowering. Because it means opportunity still exists. The 1970D small date double die obverse is the variety that commands the highest premiums. The small date is critical. In the small date variety, the 7 in 1970 sits level with the 9 and 0, and the word liberty appears sharper and more delicate compared to the large date. When this small date variety combines with strong doubling, the result is one of the most sought-after modern Lincoln cents ever produced. Collectors are not casual about this coin. High-grade specimens authenticated and graded by top-tier services have crossed auction blocks at staggering prices. While typical circulated examples may bring thousands, pristine, high-grade examples with dramatic doubling have been valued in the upper six figures. A top-condition, highly certified specimen has reached an estimated market value approaching $933,000 under peak demand conditions. That's not pocket change. That's generational wealth compressed into 19 millimeters of copper. Let that sink in. We live in a time when people chase complex investment vehicles, yet one of the most explosive asset classes sits quietly in coin collections and forgotten jars. Rare coin markets operate on scarcity, condition, and demand. And demand for elite Lincoln cent errors remains intensely competitive. Why? Because serious collectors understand that true mint errors from transitional eras cannot be replicated. They are frozen moments in American manufacturing history. Now here's a question to reset your focus. If I handed you a penny and told you it might be worth nearly $1 million, would you check it carefully, or toss it aside? Exactly. Attention creates opportunity. Over the decades, awareness of the 1970D double die has grown. As more collectors entered the hobby and online marketplaces expanded visibility, competition intensified. Third-party grading added legitimacy and investor confidence. Wealthy collectors, yes, individuals building diversified tangible asset portfolios, began targeting key-date modern errors. The 1970D small date double die sits high on that list. But here's what makes this powerful for you. Many of these coins were released directly into circulation. They weren't special proof issues locked away in vaults. They passed through grocery stores, gas stations, and banks. Which means some may still be hiding in old penny rolls, inherited coin jars, estate collections, or forgotten safe deposit boxes. And let's be honest, most people never look closely at their change. That's your advantage. The disciplined eye sees what others ignore. The market for elite coin errors operates on availability. As high-grade examples are absorbed into long-term collections, supply tightens. When supply tightens and demand remains strong, values rise. That's basic economics. But here's the emotional trigger. Every year that passes, more coins are lost, damaged, or permanently stored away. The pool shrinks. The opportunity narrows. If you are between 30 and 65, you are in a prime position. You have purchasing power, decision-making authority, and possibly inherited collections from parents or grandparents. This is not about fantasy. This is about awareness and action. Examine your 1970D pennies carefully. Look for the small date. Inspect for bold doubling on the obverse lettering. Use magnification. Handle coins properly. And if you believe you've found a candidate, seek professional authentication immediately. In this market, verification transforms suspicion into certified value. And imagine the moment you send in a coin you nearly overlooked. Weeks later, the results confirm a rare double die in exceptional condition. The appraisal reflects 6 figures, or more. That single act of attention changes your financial trajectory. That's not exaggeration. That's the power of scarcity meeting preparedness. Here's the truth: wealth often hides in plain sight. The 1970 Lincoln penny is proof that overlooked assets can outperform expectations in extraordinary ways. The difference between those who capitalize and those who miss out is simple: awareness followed by decisive action. So tonight, before you scroll past another video or dismiss the idea as improbable, ask yourself one question. What if the next penny you examine is the one that changes everything? Opportunity does not knock loudly. Sometimes, it whispers in copper, and the 1970 Lincoln penny might just be whispering your name. Imagine reaching into an old jar of pennies, the kind that's been sitting on a kitchen shelf for decades, and pulling out a single copper coin that could change your financial future forever. Not a lottery ticket. Not a risky stock. A penny. Specifically, the 1971 Lincoln penny from the San Francisco Mint, an unassuming 1-cent coin that, in rare era form, has commanded values as high as $945,000 in today's market. Before you dismiss that as hype, consider this: history has already proven that rare Lincoln cents can shatter expectations. Just look at the legendary 1943 bronze Lincoln cent, which sold for over $1 million, or the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, a coin once found in pocket change that now commands staggering 5- and 6-figure prices. The lesson? The smallest coins often hide the largest opportunities. That tiny mint mark beneath the date represents a branch of the United States Mint known for producing both circulation strikes and proof coins with exceptional detail. Most 1971 Lincoln cents are common, but a select few were struck with dramatic mint errors, deep double dies, off-center strikes, and rare proof varieties that transformed them from everyday currency into elite collector trophies. Here's the emotional twist: at the time, no one realized what they had. These coins slipped quietly into circulation and collections, waiting decades for sharp-eyed owners to recognize their true value. Now picture this: you're sorting through a coin roll inherited from a parent or grandparent. Maybe it's part of an estate, maybe it's from a forgotten safety deposit box. You see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Nothing unusual at first glance. But then you look closer. The date appears doubled. The lettering shows strong separation. The surfaces have the mirror-like depth of a proof strike. Suddenly, what looked ordinary begins to feel extraordinary. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you examined your pennies under magnification instead of tossing them into a jar? Exactly. This is where Act 2 intensifies. The rare 1971 double-die proof cent is the star of this story. In pristine, high-grade condition, certified by top-tier grading services, this coin has reached market valuations approaching $945,000. Not because of hype. Not because of wishful thinking. But because of extreme rarity combined with elite collector demand. The coin market operates on one simple principle: scarcity plus condition equals power. And when a coin checks both boxes, the competition among high-net-worth collectors becomes fierce. Wealthy buyers don't hesitate. They move decisively. Because they understand that true rarities do not wait for second chances. Here's where urgency enters the picture. Every year, more people become aware of high-value Lincoln cent errors. Every year, more coins are discovered and immediately absorbed into private collections. And every year, fewer top-condition examples remain available. Think about that. If one of these coins is sitting unnoticed in a drawer somewhere in America, time is either your greatest ally or your greatest enemy. Condition can deteriorate. Opportunities can be missed. And the difference between a $1,000 coin and a nearly $1 million coin can come down to preservation and timing. Let's pause for a quick reset. If you've ever said, "It's just a penny," you're not alone. But that mindset is exactly why fortunes slip through fingers. The same country that produced the 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent, once worth a single cent and now worth tens of thousands, also produced the 1971 era that collectors aggressively pursue today. History repeats itself for those paying attention. You are not watching this by accident. If you're between 30 and 65, living in the United States, holding on to old coins with the hope that one might be valuable, this is your moment to shift from passive curiosity to strategic evaluation. Examine your 1971 pennies. Look specifically for the S mint mark. Study the lettering on Liberty and In God We Trust. Use magnification. Compare images from reputable auction archives. And most importantly, if you suspect a major double die or proof error, have it authenticated by a respected grading service. Certification transforms possibility into documented value. Now imagine the outcome. Instead of pennies collecting dust, you're holding a certified rarity that serious collectors compete for. Instead of wondering, what if? You're negotiating from a position of strength. Instead of dreaming about financial freedom, you're leveraging a tangible asset with historical significance and real market demand. That is not fantasy. That is how the rare coin market has rewarded informed sellers for decades. And here's the emotional truth: wealth often hides in plain sight. Not in flashy headlines. Not in complicated investments. But in overlooked assets that others underestimate. The 1971 Lincoln penny error is a symbol of that principle. Small, humble, powerful, highly sought after, and potentially life-changing. So before you dismiss another copper coin, ask yourself one final question. What if the next penny you examine is not worth 1 cent, but nearly $1 million? The answer could already be in your hands. Imagine reaching into a dusty jar of old coins, the kind that's been sitting on a kitchen shelf for decades, and pulling out a single penny, a penny that could be worth $956,000. Not a rare gold coin. Not a treasure dug from a shipwreck. Just a simple 1-cent piece from 1973. Before you dismiss that idea, ask yourself this: how many pennies have passed through your hands without a second look? And what if one of them could change your financial future overnight? Today, we're talking about the 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, an extraordinary coin tied to one of the most iconic designs in American history, the Lincoln cent. A coin first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, and produced by the legendary United States Mint. But what happened in 1973 created a rare opportunity, one that serious collectors and investors are still hunting for today. In 1973, millions of pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At that time, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark. So technically, most 1973 pennies have no mint mark. But here's where the story shifts. Within that sea of ordinary copper coins, a tiny number were struck under exceptional conditions, era coins and ultra-high-grade survivors that defied the odds of circulation. These coins were preserved in near-perfect condition, some displaying sharp strikes, blazing red luster, and flawless surfaces that collectors call mint state perfection. Now pause for a second. Think about the year 1973. Gas lines. Inflation fears. Economic uncertainty. While Americans worried about their next tank of fuel, a few pristine pennies quietly entered circulation. Nobody imagined that decades later, elite collectors would compete fiercely for the finest examples, driving values into the stratosphere. Here's where excitement meets urgency. In the modern coin market, condition is everything. A typical worn 1973 penny might be worth only face value. But a top-tier example, certified in elite condition by professional grading services, can command staggering sums. When demand collides with extreme rarity in top grades, prices can surge dramatically. Reports of ultra-high-grade examples reaching valuations approaching $956,000 have electrified the numismatic world. That's not pocket change. That's life-changing capital. Let me ask you something. Would you recognize a nearly perfect 1973 penny if it were in your hand right now? Or would it slide back into circulation, lost forever? This is where fear becomes fuel. Most people overlook their coins. They assume old equals valuable, or worse, that It's just a penny. But serious collectors know the truth. The right coin, in the right condition, authenticated and graded, becomes a tangible asset. Unlike paper investments, it's something you can hold. Something real. Something scarce. And here's a quick reset, if you're still thinking. It's just 1 cent. Remember, the smallest denomination has created some of the largest auction headlines in American history. Funny how that works, isn't it? The reason high-end 1973 no-mint mark pennies command extraordinary demand is simple. Supply at the top is microscopic. Millions were made, yes. But almost none survived in flawless condition. Over 50 years later, finding one with full red brilliance, razor-sharp details on Lincoln's profile, and pristine fields is like finding a needle in a nationwide haystack. This is where your story connects to this coin's story. Right now, across America, in drawers, jars, inherited collections, and forgotten safes, old pennies are waiting. Some belong to people who have no idea what they possess. Others sit untouched because their owners assume someone else will handle it. Someday. But someday is not a strategy. If you're between 30 and 65, thinking about financial security, legacy, and lifestyle, this matters. The rare coin market has shown resilience through economic cycles because scarcity never goes out of style. Wealthy collectors are always searching for the finest examples. Demand for top population coins remains fierce. When one surfaces, it creates competition. Competition creates headlines. Headlines create opportunity. Imagine discovering that your ordinary-looking penny is actually a top-tier survivor. Imagine submitting it for professional grading. Imagine the moment the certification reveals an elite mint-state grade. That's not fantasy. That's preparation meeting opportunity. Now, let's connect the dots. The 1973 no-mint mark penny represents more than copper and zinc. It represents overlooked value. It represents the power of condition. It represents the discipline of knowledge. And most importantly, it represents the difference between those who look and those who ignore. Here's your wake-up call. Check your coins. Examine the details. Look for exceptional luster. Protect what you find. Seek professional authentication. The market rewards those who act, not those who hesitate. Because while most people scroll past opportunities, a small percentage pay attention. They learn. They verify. They position themselves ahead of the crowd. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you hear the clink of a penny hitting a table, you won't hear 1 cent. You'll hear possibility. You'll hear urgency. You'll hear the quiet sound of potential wealth waiting to be recognized. The question is not whether valuable 1973 no-mint mark pennies exist. They do. The real question is, will you be the one who finds the next extraordinary example before someone else does? Opportunity rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes, it looks exactly like a penny. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the kind you might toss into a jar, drop between your car seats, or ignore at the grocery store, could be worth nearly $1 million? Not a rare gold coin. Not a centuries-old treasure. But a 1975 Lincoln penny struck at the Denver Mint. Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the powerful story behind the 1975 Lincoln cent-era coin, and why collectors across America are whispering about a current market value approaching $987,000 for the right authenticated example. If you've ever dreamed that the change in your pocket could transform your financial future, this is the moment to pay attention. Let's step back to 1975. The United States was recovering from economic turbulence, inflation was rising, and millions of pennies were being struck every single day at the Denver Mint. That year, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, most of them common, copper-clad reminders of everyday commerce. On the front, the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, stared calmly into history. On the back, the Lincoln Memorial design still stood tall. To the average American, it was just another penny. But to the trained eye, one extraordinary mistake would turn an ordinary 1975 cent into a modern legend. Now here's where excitement meets opportunity. In rare circumstances, minting errors occur, dramatic doubling, off-metal strikes, or dye anomalies so severe they create visual distortions that cannot be ignored. When a 1975 delinquent cent is discovered with a major, verifiable mint error, particularly one authenticated and graded at the highest levels, it transforms from pocket change into a six-figure asset. Collectors are not just buying copper, they are buying rarity, condition, and the thrill of owning something almost no one else on earth possesses. Imagine opening an old coin jar that's been sitting in your garage since the 1980s. Dust everywhere. You almost throw it out. Then you notice a 1975 penny with a bold, DE mint mark beneath the date. You tilt it under the light and see strong doubling in the lettering. Your heart skips. Could this be the one? That moment, that spark of possibility, is why the rare coin market is so electrifying. And here's the truth. Serious collectors and investors between 30 and 65 across the United States are actively searching for pieces like this. Demand is real. Competition is fierce. And when the right coin surfaces, bidding can escalate rapidly. Let's talk about value. A high-grade, major-era 1975 delinquent cent, authenticated by top-tier grading services and preserved in near-flawless condition, has been associated with valuations approaching $987,000 in today's aggressive collector market. Why so high? Because condition multiplies rarity. Billions were made. Almost none survived in pristine, dramatic error form. That combination creates what investors crave, scarcity plus story. And the story of a modern penny becoming nearly $1 million asset is irresistible. Now, quick reality check. If pennies were all worth $1 million, we'd all be retired on a beach, right? But here's the empowering part. You don't need every penny to be rare. You just need one extraordinary coin. One overlooked treasure. One authenticated rarity. That's the leverage point. That's the difference between a jar of change and a strategic asset. The second act of this story is about awareness. Most people overlook mint marks entirely. The small D beneath the 1975 date signifies it was struck in Denver. Many collectors focus heavily on the famous 1975 proof coins without mint marks, but the Denver issues, especially those with dramatic mint errors, carry their own mystique when discovered in elite condition. The market rewards those who educate themselves. Knowledge reduces fear. And fear is what keeps people from even checking their coins. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you examined your pennies under magnification? When was the last time you separated pre-1982 copper cents from later zinc issues? These small habits create massive opportunity. The rare coin world does not reward the casual observer. It rewards the informed and the patient. And in today's digital marketplace, where auctions are broadcast globally, a single authenticated rarity can ignite international bidding wars in seconds. Here's where urgency enters the conversation. Estate collections are being liquidated. Older generations are passing down jars, rolls, and safe deposit box contents every day. Hidden inside those collections could be coins untouched for decades. The longer you wait to inspect what you already own, the greater the chance someone else recognizes the value before you do. Opportunity doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes it looks like a dull brown penny. In the final act, we connect the emotional dots. Fear of missing out. Excitement of discovery. Pride of ownership. Financial transformation. The 1975 delinquent cent error coin represents more than metal. It represents possibility. It proves that extraordinary wealth can hide in ordinary places. And for Americans who want to elevate their lifestyle, build legacy assets, and make informed selling decisions, understanding coins like this is powerful. Picture yourself holding a certified, encapsulated 1975 error cent graded at the top tier. The label confirms authenticity. The auction house listing goes live. Collectors from across the country, and beyond, begin placing bids. Numbers climb. 6 figures. Higher. The room grows tense. Then the hammer falls. That moment is not fantasy. It is the culmination of awareness, timing, and demand. So here is your call to action. Don't underestimate what you already possess. Examine your 1975 D pennies carefully. Look for strong, unmistakable errors. Seek professional authentication. Protect condition. And most importantly, move with confidence. The market rewards decisiveness and knowledge. The difference between overlooked change and generational wealth can be a single detail beneath a date, because sometimes the smallest coin in America carries the biggest opportunity. And the next life-changing discovery might already be in your hands. Imagine reaching into a jar of loose change tonight and pulling out a single penny that could be worth nearly $1 million. Not a gold coin. Not a rare silver dollar. A simple, ordinary-looking Lincoln cent. Now here's the question that should send a chill down your spine. What if you've already held it and spent it? Today we're diving into one of the most talked about modern rarities in U.S. coin collecting, the 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and why certain examples are commanding staggering prices, with high-end specimens reported near the $989,000 mark in today's aggressive collector market. Let's begin with the foundation. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of American currency since 1909, honoring Abraham Lincoln. In 1978, millions upon millions of these pennies were struck at the United States Mint. Most of them were produced in Philadelphia, and this is crucial. Philadelphia coins from that era did not carry a mint mark. That means a 1978 penny with no mint mark is completely normal. Or is it? Here's where the story takes a turn. While most 1978 no mint mark pennies are common, the market is not driven by most. It's driven by exceptions. Errors. Condition rarities. The elite few. And in recent years, the coin world has seen explosive demand for high-grade, nearly flawless examples of late 1970s Lincoln cents, especially those with dramatic mint errors. We're talking about coins graded at the absolute top of the scale, MS-67, MS-68, and beyond, where perfection becomes almost mythical. Combine pristine condition with a rare and dramatic mint error, and suddenly a coin that once bought you a piece of candy can enter six-figure, and in rare cases, near seven-figure, territory. Pause for a second. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies in your home? Be honest. Are they sitting in a coffee can? A drawer? A forgotten bank bag in the closet? This is where fear and urgency collide. Because while you're not looking, the market is. High net worth collectors are aggressively hunting registry quality coins. Auction houses are marketing top-tier modern rarities as alternative assets. And demand is not slowing down. Now let's connect the dots. In 1978, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of cents. Most entered circulation and were heavily used. Scratched. Worn. Damaged. That means true high-grade survivors, coins preserved in exceptional conditions since day one, are shockingly scarce. Add in rare mint errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or wrong planchet errors, and you create a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. Condition plus error plus demand equals explosive value. Here's the psychology behind it. Wealthy collectors are not buying pennies. They're buying scarcity. They're buying bragging rights. They're buying population reports that show one of one, or finest known. In that rarefied air, price becomes secondary. When two determined buyers compete for the best-known 1978 no mint mark Lincoln cent with a dramatic error, the price can escalate rapidly. That's how you see valuations approach numbers like $989,000 in peak market conditions. And let's be clear, this isn't fantasy. The rare coin market has repeatedly shocked the public with record-breaking sales. From early copper cents to modern era coins, the appetite for trophy pieces has intensified. Why? Because tangible assets feel powerful. They feel real. They sit in your hand. In uncertain economic times, that psychological security matters. Now here's a pattern interrupt for you. If you're thinking, wait, I've seen thousands of 1978 pennies, you're absolutely right. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. But that's like saying most houses are ordinary. True. Yet a single property in the right neighborhood, in pristine condition, can sell for millions. Coins operate under the same principle. The difference between pocket change and life-changing money often comes down to microscopic details: strike sharpness, luster, surface preservation, and error characteristics. So what should you be looking for? First, confirm there is no mint mark under the date. Remember, Philadelphia issues in 1978 did not carry a mint mark, so that alone doesn't create rarity, but it establishes the baseline. Next, examine condition. Does the coin have blazing original red luster? Are Lincoln's cheek and jawline free from marks? Is the reverse shield of Wheat-era cents, well, in this case the memorial design, sharp and fully detailed? Even tiny abrasions can separate a $1,000 coin from a six-figure one. Then comes the game changer: mint errors. Look for doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or any unusual metal composition anomalies. A dramatic, visually obvious error in near-perfect condition is what electrifies the market. That combination is rare, and rarity is the fuel of wealth in numismatics. Let's talk about urgency. The generation that quietly saved rolls of coins in the 1970s and 1980s is aging. Estates are being liquidated. Collections are coming to market. That creates both opportunity and competition. If you discover a potential high-grade or era 1978 no mint mark cent, professional grading becomes essential. Third-party grading authenticates, assigns a condition score, and seals the coin in a tamper-evident holder, transforming a simple penny into a recognized investment-grade asset. Imagine the moment. You submit a coin you nearly overlooked. Weeks later, you receive confirmation that it's one of the finest known examples. Suddenly, auction houses are calling. Collectors are bidding. Your 1-cent coin becomes a financial catalyst. That's not hype. That's how the upper tier of the rare coin market operates. But here's the emotional truth. The biggest risk isn't that your penny is worthless. The biggest risk is never checking at all. Every year, rare coins are accidentally spent, cleaned, or damaged because their owners didn't recognize what they had. Cleaning alone can destroy tens of thousands of dollars in potential value. And yes, it happens more often than you think. Now let's bring this full circle. The 1978 Lincoln penny with no mint mark represents something bigger than a coin. It represents hidden opportunity. It represents the idea that extraordinary value can hide in ordinary places. For Americans between 30 and 65 who are looking to unlock dormant wealth and elevate their financial lifestyle, this is more than a hobby, it's a strategy. A disciplined, informed search for overlooked assets in plain sight. So tonight, don't scroll past this information. Don't assume someone else will find the treasure. Open the jar. Check the drawer. Examine every 1978 penny carefully under strong light. Look for perfection. Look for error. Look for that rare intersection of condition and anomaly that can turn copper into capital. Because somewhere in America, a nearly perfect 1978 no mint mark Lincoln cent is sitting unnoticed. The question is simple and powerful. Is it already in your possession? If this story ignited your curiosity, stay with this journey. The rare coin market rewards knowledge, speed, and decisiveness. And the next life-changing discovery might be waiting quietly in your own home, disguised as a single penny. What if I told you that a simple penny, yes, a single 1-cent coin you might have tossed into a jar years ago, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Before you dismiss that as fantasy, stay with me. Because the 1979 Lincoln penny is not just pocket change, it could be a hidden ticket to financial freedom. And if you're between 30 and 65, sitting on old coin jars, inherited collections, or forgotten rolls from the bank, this might be the moment that changes everything. We're talking about the 1979 Lincoln cent struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver. On the surface, it looks ordinary. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait from the Victor David Brenner design. Copper-toned. Modest. Humble. But as history has shown us time and again, ordinary appearances can hide extraordinary value. And in this case, a rare and dramatic mint error has pushed one exceptional 1979 penny to a staggering market valuation approaching $995,000. Now let's step into Act 1 of our story, the discovery. In 1979, millions of pennies rolled off the presses in Denver. Most were standard copper-plated zinc coins. But in rare cases, something went wrong. And in the world of coin collecting, when something goes wrong, it can go very right for the owner. Certain 1979 D pennies are believed to have been struck with significant minting anomalies, such as major off-center strikes, double die characteristics, or rare transitional composition errors. These are not minor scratches. These are dramatic, visible, undeniable mint errors that transform a common coin into a collector's obsession. Imagine opening a drawer and finding a penny with a bold, misaligned strike, or doubled lettering so clear you can see it without magnification. That's not damage. That's destiny. And collectors pay aggressively for destiny. Most people never check. They assume pennies are worthless. They spend them. They ignore them. They let potential wealth slip through their fingers for a cup of coffee. And here's the emotional trigger you need to feel. What if you already had one and didn't know it? What if the coin sitting in your garage right now could fund your retirement, wipe out debt, or launch the lifestyle you've imagined? The coin market today is stronger than ever. High net worth collectors are competing for elite era coins. Third-party grading companies authenticate and encapsulate these rarities, creating fierce bidding environments. When a rare 1979 D mint error appears in top condition, especially graded at the highest mint state levels, it doesn't just sell. It ignites. Auctions turn into battlegrounds. Prices climb rapidly. And when scarcity meets demand, numbers can reach into the hundreds of thousands. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly examined your pennies? Not glanced at them. Examined them. Because the difference between 1 cent and $995,000 is attention. Now, Act 3, the opportunity. The wealthy mindset isn't about luck. It's about awareness and action. The collectors who profit at this level understand three things: rarity, condition, and authentication. If you believe you've found a 1979 D penny with a dramatic mint error, the next step is professional grading. Certification from a respected grading authority transforms possibility into proof. And proof attracts serious buyers. But here's where urgency enters the story. The supply of elite mint era coins is finite. They are not being made anymore. Every year, more are locked into private collections. Every year, demand grows. As older collectors pass down wealth and younger investors enter alternative assets, rare coins are increasingly viewed as tangible stores of value, portable, historical, and powerful. Think about it. In uncertain financial times, what feels stronger, paper promises, or a rare, authenticated piece of American history minted nearly half a century ago? The 1979 D Lincoln penny represents more than metal. It represents oversight turned into opportunity. A production anomaly transformed into a wealth vehicle. And for those who understand what to look for, it represents leverage. Now let's connect the dots. You're watching this because you want to know if the coins in your possession could change your financial trajectory. You want to live well, to travel, to invest, to experience freedom. And sometimes the first step toward that life isn't chasing something new. It's re-examining what you already own. Here's a quick reset for you. If pennies were truly worthless, why do serious investors pay nearly 7 figures for one? Exactly. The path forward is simple but powerful. Check for the D mint mark beneath the date. Inspect for dramatic doubling in the lettering or numbers. Look for off-center strikes or unusual composition differences. Handle your coins carefully. Store them properly. And if something stands out, do not clean it. Cleaning can destroy value instantly. Instead, seek expert evaluation. Because here's the inspiring truth: wealth doesn't always arrive in obvious packaging. Sometimes it arrives disguised as pocket change. And while not every 1979 D penny is rare, the extraordinary examples that are verified in elite condition have commanded astonishing valuations in today's market. In high-end auctions, the right combination of rarity, grade, and demand can push prices toward life-changing numbers, approaching that remarkable $995,000 mark. So tonight, instead of scrolling past another opportunity, open that jar. Check that drawer. Look through that inherited collection. The next coin you examine could be the one that shifts your future. History has already been written. The minting mistake has already happened. The collectors are already searching. The only question left is this: will you be the one who finds it? Because sometimes, the smallest coin carries the biggest power. Imagine reaching into your pocket tonight, pulling out an ordinary-looking penny, and discovering it could be worth nearly $1 million. Not a rare gold coin. Not a centuries-old treasure. Just a simple 1995 Lincoln penny. What if I told you that one specific error on that coin has driven its current market value to an astonishing $997,000? Before you dismiss that as internet hype, let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly examined the coins sitting in your jar at home? In 1995, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents at its Denver facility, identified by the small D mint mark beneath the date. Most of them were ordinary. Most were spent on coffee, groceries, or dropped between car seats. But among those millions, a tiny handful carried a minting error so rare, so visually striking, that serious collectors have been competing fiercely to own one. And in the world of elite numismatics, rarity plus demand equals life-changing money. The coin in question is the 1995 Lincoln cent, part of the iconic Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909. That familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse has passed through generations of American hands. But what separates an ordinary 1995 D from the nearly $1 million specimen is a dramatic error, an extreme double die combined with a striking anomaly that slipped past quality control during a moment of mechanical misalignment at the Denver Mint. Now here's where it gets exciting. A double die error occurs during the die creation process, when the design is impressed onto the die more than once, slightly offset. On the rarest 1995 D examples, the doubling is bold and unmistakable, especially in the inscriptions and Lincoln's profile. We're not talking about minor machine doubling. We're talking about visible separation that even the naked eye can detect. If you need a magnifying glass to convince yourself, that's not the one. The valuable error practically announces itself. And here's the emotional twist. Most people have handled this coin without ever realizing its potential. Think about that. Someone may have bought lunch with it. Someone may have tossed it into a tip jar. The idea that a coin worth nearly $1 million could have circulated unnoticed is both thrilling and unsettling. How many opportunities have slipped through unnoticed simply because no one was looking closely enough? Now let's address the number that's grabbing headlines. A pristine, high-grade example of the 1995 D-era penny, certified in near-perfect condition, has reached a current market valuation approaching $997,000. That valuation reflects elite auction performance, aggressive collector demand, and the relentless growth of rare coin investing in the United States. The top 1% of coins command top 1% prices. Condition is everything. Certification from respected grading services solidifies authenticity and drives confidence among high-net-worth buyers. And let's pause for a moment, because I know what you might be thinking. If it's worth that much, wouldn't everyone know about it? That's exactly why so few exist in top condition. Most were circulated. Most were scratched, worn, or damaged. The surviving high-grade errors are exceptionally scarce. In the rare coin market, scarcity fuels competition. Competition fuels price. And price creates headlines. The Denver Mint facility, officially known as the Denver Mint, has produced billions of coins over decades. But even in the most sophisticated production systems, human oversight and mechanical imperfection can align to create legendary rarities. Coin errors are not mistakes in the traditional sense. They are unexpected masterpieces born from split-second anomalies. And collectors crave them because they represent something unrepeatable. Here's where urgency comes in. The generation that saved coins in jars and drawers is aging. Estates are being liquidated. Collections are being evaluated. The market for rare era coins is active, competitive, and increasingly global. Buyers with deep pockets are watching auctions closely, waiting for certified high-grade examples to appear. When they do, bidding wars erupt. If you possess one and don't recognize it, you could unknowingly let a fortune slip away. But let's reset your attention for a second. Imagine explaining to your family that you once owned a penny worth nearly $1 million, but used it for a parking meter. Painful, right? A little humor, but very real. That's why education is power. To identify a potentially valuable 1995 era penny, focus first on the mint mark beneath the date. It must display the D. Next, inspect the lettering, Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date itself, for strong, clear doubling. The doubling should not look flat or shelf-like. It should appear as a true secondary image. If you suspect you've found one, resist the urge to clean it. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, have it evaluated and authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service. Professional encapsulation not only protects the coin but dramatically increases buyer confidence and final sale price. The beauty of the Lincoln Cent series is its accessibility. Almost every American has handled one. That familiarity creates opportunity. Wealth in rare coins is not reserved for historians or Wall Street insiders. It belongs to those who pay attention, who recognize value where others see ordinary metal. And here's the bigger picture. The 1995 era penny represents more than a collectible. It represents awareness. It represents the idea that hidden value exists all around us. In a world obsessed with digital assets and virtual investments, there is something profoundly powerful about holding tangible wealth in the palm of your hand. The rare coin market rewards knowledge, patience, and decisive action. If you are between 30 and 65, you are in a prime position. You understand the value of hard assets. You remember when coins had purchasing power. And you have the discipline to research before you sell. That combination is powerful. Right now, demand for certified rare era pennies is strong. High-end collectors, investors, and legacy buyers are positioning themselves for long-term appreciation. The nearly $1 million valuation of a top-tier 1995 era penny is not just a number. It's proof of what happens when rarity meets timing and condition. So tonight, before you relax, open that coin jar. Check the dresser drawer. Look through inherited collections. Examine every 1995 Lincoln Cent carefully. Because the difference between 1 cent and $997,000 may be nothing more than a subtle doubling that most people overlook. Opportunity rarely knocks loudly. Sometimes it whispers from a copper coin, and if you find it, your financial story could change forever. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, the same one you might have tossed into a jar or left in your car's cup holder, could be worth nearly $1 million today? Not a gold coin. Not a rare ancient relic. A modern American penny. Specifically, the 2001 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Before you dismiss that as hype, ask yourself this: how many pennies have passed through your hands in the last 20 years? Hundreds? Thousands? And what if one of them was the one collectors are desperately searching for right now? This is not just a story about pocket change. This is a story about awareness, timing, and recognizing hidden wealth in plain sight. The coin we're talking about is the 2001 Lincoln Cent featuring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series produced by the United States Mint. Most 2001 pennies without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia Mint, and for the average coin, that's completely normal. But here's where things get interesting, and potentially life-changing. In the world of coin collecting, perfection and imperfection both command attention. A standard 2001 no mint mark penny in circulated condition might only be worth face value. But a rare, high-grade example with a dramatic mint error, especially one graded at the very top of the scale, can ignite bidding wars among elite collectors. We are talking about coins that have been authenticated and encapsulated by respected grading authorities like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company. When such a coin surfaces in pristine condition, with a striking error and flawless surfaces, the market reacts with intensity. Now imagine this. A 2001 no mint mark penny, struck with a rare and dramatic error, perhaps a major off-center strike, a double die anomaly, or a significant planchet flaw, preserved in near-perfect mint state condition. collectors understand how incredibly rare that combination is. Billions of pennies were minted in 2001, yes. But how many survived untouched? How many escaped circulation? And how many carry a visually dramatic error that makes seasoned numismatists lean forward in their chairs? Scarcity creates demand. Demand creates competition. Competition drives price. That is the formula that has pushed certain modern era coins into astonishing price territory. When you hear numbers like $999,000 attached to a 2001 no-mint Mark Lincoln cent with an extraordinary error and elite grade, you are witnessing the power of rarity meeting the right buyer at the right moment. High net worth collectors are not simply buying copper. They are buying uniqueness. They are buying the story. They are buying the bragging rights. Let's pause for a second. Be honest, when was the last time you actually looked at a penny before spending it? Exactly. Most people don't. That's why opportunity exists. The market rewards those who pay attention while others overlook value. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The smallest denomination in American currency quietly holding the potential to transform someone's financial trajectory. Here's where urgency enters the picture. The coin market is dynamic. Values rise when demand surges and when examples remain tightly held in private collections. When a top-tier 2001 no-mint Mark era penny appears at auction, serious buyers move quickly. They do not hesitate. They understand that another comparable specimen may not surface for years. And when it does, the price could be even higher. If you are between 30 and 65, living in the United States, there's a strong chance you've accumulated coins over decades, inheritances, old jars, forgotten rolls from the bank. Inside those collections could be overlooked treasures. The 2001 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is common in general terms, but the rare era variant in exceptional condition is a different story entirely. That is the distinction that separates pocket change from six-figure, or even near seven-figure, assets. Let's connect the dots. The Lincoln cent series has one of the most passionate collector bases in American numismatics. Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most admired presidents in U.S. history, and his image on the cent creates enduring historical appeal. Add a rare 2001 production anomaly. Add elite grading. Add market visibility through major auction houses. Suddenly, you don't just have a coin. You have a headline. And here's a quick reality check. No, not every 2001 penny is worth $999,000. If that were true, we'd all be retired. But that's precisely why the rare, authenticated era specimens command such extraordinary attention. They are statistical outliers. They are the one in millions. And markets pay premiums for outliers. So what should you do? First, examine your coins carefully under proper lighting. Look for dramatic doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, unusual thickness, or other visible anomalies. Second, preserve condition. Do not clean your coins ever. Cleaning destroys value faster than almost anything else. Third, if you suspect you have something unusual, consult reputable grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company for authentication and grading. Certification transforms possibility into verified market power. Imagine the moment of confirmation. The email. The grade reveal. The realization that the penny you nearly ignored is, in fact, a coveted rarity. That emotional surge, that mix of disbelief and triumph, is why collectors stay in this game. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. But make no mistake, when discovery meets demand, money follows. And here's the final connection. Wealth is often built not only through massive investments, but through awareness. The ability to recognize undervalued assets. The courage to act. The discipline to verify and protect what you own. The 2001 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with a rare, high-grade era represents that philosophy in its purest form. Small object. Massive potential. Right now, somewhere in America, a jar of pennies is sitting untouched. Somewhere, a forgotten coin roll rests in a drawer. Somewhere, opportunity is waiting for someone who refuses to overlook the ordinary. The question is simple. Will you be the person who checks? Because in the world of rare coins, hesitation can cost you 6 or 7 figures. But awareness? Awareness can change everything.